Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening to the podcast. This is the Wrestling Fans Insight episode number 44. Along with me, William, Heather, and Carlos. William, how you doing?
I've actually had a really good week, so I'm great.
You're not tired, drained, nothing?
If I'm tired, it's because for once I actually slept for almost 12 hours. So
Nice. Take that while you can. Heather, how was your week?
I was pretty good. I actually managed to stay upright and not fall again.
Yay!
Thank God that 20 layers of bubble wrap finally helped you.
She got that Amazon Prime order in.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Heather. Yeah, of course, the other man who chimed in is our other co-host and fourth team member, Carlos. How's your week been?
It's been good. I'm glad the sun's back out here in Northern California, and it's been a good week. I've got back in the gym after having to take some time off from being sick, so I feel good. It's been a nice week. Other than WWE programming, it's been a good week.
We were okay with you up until you mentioned the sunshine, and so you know.
Yeah,
Thanks for rubbing that in, Carlos.
yeah, that right there needs to stop.
Yeah, either share with us or don't mention that shit ever again.
Please don't take my sunshine away.
Well, if you'll be happy to just take some of our snow, we'll be okay with that.
We could trade that, some snow for a sun. I think we could use the water here, Make that happen somehow.
Because, it's not like your state's surrounded by an ocean or anything,
No. Can't drink that. You can't drink that water though, unless you again. They need to make the technology for that. But
Oh, I'm sure we can find ways. We'll figure it out. Anyhow. Alrighty. So, this week we've had some very unfortunate circumstances. The wrestling community found out of a tragic accident that took the life of one of the current Ring of Honor tag team champions. I want to send our condolences out to the entire Briscoe family. Jammin Pugh, also known as Jay Briscoe, we found out was involved in a car accident along with his daughter. His daughter is, I'm not sure, is she still in critical?
I think she's still in ICU.
Okay. Prayers to the little kiddo there. But unfortunately, Jay Briscoe did not come through to the right side. Fortunately, he passed away, and we found out firsthand, actually, from Vic Joseph on NXT this week. I'm not sure if Heather or Carlos found out otherwise, but yeah.
That's exactly how I found out.
Yeah.
I found out from Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Tony Khan posted it on there, and that's how I found out.
Yeah. It's a sad time to be a wrestling fan, knowing we lost one heck of half of a member of what's going to be undoubtedly a legendary Hall of Fame tag team in professional wrestling. And it's definitely not going to be the same when you see Mark Briscoe go out to the ring, because we're just so used to seeing the brothers together, and it's going to be a bummer to never see that again. I would just like to take a few seconds of silence, if we can, to just kind of have that honor for Jay. All right. Thank you to the listening audience out there. Anyways, let's kind of get back on track here. Why don't we just go ahead and get right into the WWE programming? I'll go through the results real quick for Monday Night Raw. We had Solo Sikoa defeating Mustafa Ali. The Street Profits in tag team action getting the win over Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. Omos. Yeah, I'm shaking my head as well internally. Defeating Elias. Judgment Day defeats Alpha Academy. Micha Mia Yim gets the victory over Io Sky. Bronson Reed squashes the hell out of Akira Tozawa. And in the main event, it was a 6-way elimination match where the winner gets the shot at the United States Championship match on next week's Raw's 30th anniversary show. In the first defeat, Seth freaking Rollins defeats The Miz. The second fall, Rollins eliminates Dolph Ziggler. Seth Rollins then defeats Finn Balor. Bobby Lashley defeats Baron Corbin. And eventually winning the match, Bobby Lashley gets the victory over Seth Rollins. So on next week's Raw for the United States Championship, it will be Austin Theory defending the United States Championship against Bobby Lashley. For NXT, we had Apollo Crews and Axiom defeat the team of Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Sol Ruca gets a victory over Alba Fire. God, I cannot talk.
I haven't seen that superstar wrestler yet.
Hey,
can't wait to watch that.
hey. Gallus defeats the team of Briggs and Jensen. Thea Hill finally gets her first victory over Valentina Feroz. Tyler Bate defeats Javier Bernal. And Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria defeats a Toxic Attraction.
Dude, you got it on the first try.
God, I know. Don't ruin my momentum, dude. And on SmackDown, it was pretty much just the tag team tournament except one match. The team of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus defeat the Viking Raiders. The only match that wasn't tag team, LA Knight defeating some jobber. I believe it was Ray Jones or whatever his name was. Match number 3 in the tag team tournament. We had Hit Row defeating Los Lotharios. Match number 4, Imperium moves on after defeating the Brawling Brutes. And this one was the surprise of the night. Okay, not really. Legado del Fantasma defeats Maximum Male Models.
Before we even go any further, can we please just kill the male model gimmick? I mean,
I don't know. That might hurt Carlos's feelings right there.
Carlos, how do you feel about it, sir?
Oh, I think it's stupid.
Okay.
Unless they bring Tyler Breeze on. If they brought Tyler Breeze back, then
Yeah. At that point,
because they're not giving it TV time. They don't need to. If you're gonna make a faction like that, have them win. Don't bring them in to be jobbers. No one's gonna get behind jobbers. Well, stupid.
Well, this is where we bring back Breezango to have them as like their leaders or something, you know.
Oh yeah, oh my God, I'll be epic.
Yeah. Anywho, why don't we go ahead and go ladies first this week? Because I know Heather's got a lot to get off her mind after, having a real safe week here. So
I think we need to give her a safety stick. We need to give her a safety sticker. No accidents on this broadcast for 8 days. We're pretty proud.
So Heather, let's have you take the reins and give us your thoughts on WWE this week.
Okay, first of all, can I just say that I love KO throwing the freaking chairs at the Usos. I love that. And then I loved when KO slammed Roman through the table. Those were my highlights of the week. And then I love when Rhea Ripley stepped to Solo. Okay, and can you tell I do not like the bloodline? Of course, y'all already knew that. Let's see.
I think you're sugarcoating it a little bit.
No, I'm not. Okay, and I like the Street Profits. Of course, I'm really liking them. I think they're doing really good. I think that was a really good match against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. I really like that match. But really, and like I said, NXT, it's not doing it for me. I try to like it. I've liked a few matches that they've done, but I'm sorry. Hate me if you want to, people, but I just don't like NXT. I mean, please forgive me, but I'm sorry, I don't like NXT. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say. Sorry, y'all.
I don't think you're really that sorry. You didn't sound very sincere. Do we have to, like, restart this to make it sound...
Nobody there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently I had my mic off on the Twitter space, so it's going to record on the podcast. But, I'm surprised Carlos didn't even chime in, but no, I think we ought to, like, restart the podcast with seeing how sincere your apology is on this, so... Is this how you truly feel?
Yes, that's how I truly feel.
You don't need to apologize one bit for it.
Oh, dear.
But no, I'm really not. I'm not happy that Almost is back either. Like when he came out, I was like, really, Almost again? Like, you know, and like last time I got hate for that because like I said, I really got unfollowed because I said that. Like, I mean, I just don't like him. He is just not a good wrestler. Like he just comes out there like before he was just having squash matches, you know, basically, and like really that's what he's gonna do this time. You're just gonna have him come out there and have squash matches. He's not a wrestler. He just comes out there and just throws people around and then pins them and then that's it. You know, he's not a wrestler. He's just like a big guy that comes up there and throws people. I mean, you know, that's basically what he is, you know.
No, I mean that's your opinion, so you know.
And I was happy that Mia Yim, you know, got the win over Io Sky. I was happy for that. You know, she finally got a win, you know.
Yeah. To me, they just haven't really done much with Mia Yim since they brought her back. I mean, it was nice to see a surprise against Rhea Ripley, but they didn't really make much of that either, if you ask my opinion on it. But anywho, Carlos, you're up to bat. Oh boy.
Carlos?
See, this is why we can't have nice things. We might have to bring Heather back. Oh, he's reconnecting, so sorry folks, we're having technical difficulties as usual. Hopefully we can get him in here. And we just sent him a co-host invite, but while we're waiting for Carlos, why don't you go ahead and give us your view there, Will?
You sure you're ready for this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I mean, mostly the Raw matches were okay, except for obvious squash matches. That just seems stupid to me. But one of the things that was notable for me about Raw this week was every single match, except for the Omos match, was an interference match. And that just kind of took away from it for me. NXT, Trick and Mello versus Axiom and Apollo Crews was an excellent match. I was actually really impressed with Ruka versus Alba Fire. It was a good match. She has a killer finish. The only thing about So Ruka that I'm kind of waiting for her to learn is her placement. Her timing's on. But because she's got such long legs, such long arms, her placement's just a bit off. Briggs and Jansen versus Gallus. It was a good match. For Royce versus Tia Hale. This one, it was an okay match. This is not for Royce. Like we've seen her before.
Yeah. You mean for... Wait a minute, who did she face again? For Royce, right?
For Royce faced Thea Hale, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you also have to be fair. For Royce has been in a tag match with Yulisa Leon, and she's out on injury.
Yeah.
And she had knee surgery, so it's still going to be a few months before we even see Leon return to the ring. So
I don't know that this match was really well thought out. Glad to see Bate back versus Bernal. It's a really good match. The Roxy and Lyra Valkyria match against Toxic Attraction. That was a killer match. I loved it. SmackDown. Yeah.
Hey, to me, there was just no sense to put a singles match in there if you're going to feature
There really wasn't.
the tag team tournament.
There really wasn't. I like the fact that they went outside of the box and did mostly tag team, but it would have been better, like you said, if they just kept it that way. There was no need to put a jobber up against LA Knight. But Sheamus and Drew versus the Viking Raiders, that was an awesome match for both teams. The Hit Row versus Los Lotharios, I'm sorry, but I thought this match was absolutely terrible.
It stunk.
Brawling Brutes versus Imperium was a really good match. I honestly thought they were going to give it to the Brutes, but nope. Legado del Fantasma versus Male Models. Yeah, okay, no.
See, I think they just had it mixed and matched wrong.
They did.
I think they should have put Legado del Fantasma against the Brawling Brutes.
I would have loved that.
They should have put Imperium against the Maximum Male Models.
Yeah.
To me, that would have looked a little bit better, but now you got, I think, only one face team in the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and see, I also would have preferred to see the Male Models taking on Los Lotharios.
Yeah.
You got a couple of pretty boy tag teams there.
Yeah.
Use it.
Well, yeah. It just, to me, it wasn't very well thought out.
No, so my overall opinion for WWE this week was mostly just failed opportunity.
Yeah, I understand that. Carlos, are you still with us?
Oh dear.
Man. And you're going to be able to hear everything we have here on Twitter Space before we make the edits. So I may have to do a uninvite for Carlos here. So, and it looks like we got Carlos back. So, hey, Carlos, what's your thoughts on WWE for this week?
So first, I want to apologize to those having technical difficulties if I repeat something that someone else already said or I say something that doesn't make sense. So if I was listening to, I love Denise and Will Washington's podcast on Sundays, the After the Bell podcast, and Will Washington was sharing about how he heard that WWE was going to be kind of just punching the ball this week for Raw, and so I decided to pump the ball as well because us as listeners and as fans can pump the ball too. So I didn't really take any notes like I would thoroughly for Raw, because for me, like the one thing I want to say about this and the thing that makes me really upset is, I think that WWE should consider all the fans that are going to the live event and make sure that they put a good show on them and make sure that they're getting their money's worth. And once that they start thinking about the fans, and again, I feel like they just take advantage of the fans a lot too. Maybe they start putting on great shows for the fans. I think that would come across on TV, and it would just be better shows fall into place. So for me, like the only things that really stick out for me, again, thinking back to Raw, again, I really felt like they were kind of just phoning it in. The one thing I did like, I liked the match between Meacham a lot, and Meacham and Io Sky. I thought that was a really good match. I thought Tozawa did a good job with Bronson Reed. That match surprised me too. But again, I didn't like the main event at all. I feel like Seth Rollins is just taking the pins. His shoulders have been on the mat enough times this whole year for me for the rest of the year. To me, that was just lazy booking because it was a cool. Again, you're gonna see all these superstars in the match, but now you had all these guys take losses that didn't need to because they were just trying to put something together, just kind of take time out. So I really didn't like that at all for Raw. For NXT, and again, to me, I would call Raw if I'm being honest, to me it felt like WWE main event supersized. And the same thing with NXT. To me, it felt like Level Up supersized. It was entertaining. Axiom and Apollo and those guys and Carmella put on a good match. I feel like a lot of talent that isn't really over wasn't being utilized tonight. I did like Soruka I like seeing her getting fast track with it because she does have it. I would encourage fans if they thought her finisher is cool to really go look at her one from Level Up because she kind of missed it a little bit and botched it on NXT. So go look at the one that she's been doing on Level Up where she really hits it well. I like Thea Hall's energy, so it was kind of good to see her get a victory. But the one thing for me is Valentina Perez does nothing for me. I think she can come to the ring on fire, and I could care less. And again, it's so funny because was thinking before she came out, I was thinking that they need to turn her heel, and just because she's not over, she just does nothing as a face. She just seems like, like face number D, just seems like a dime a dozen. And so for me, like, turn her as a heel and let her see if she can do that. So I kind of thought that was good when I saw Elektra Lopez come out there, because I'm hoping that that's the direction that they go in. I do like Big Body Javi. He's the one guy I do like, but again, because he's been getting TV time every week, and of course I'm gonna like a Hispanic star. So Feliz Javidad, everybody. The one thing I want to ask you guys about SmackDown, because our friend of the show, Sarah Execution, threw it out there that she maybe thought they were doing a tribute to Jay with having all the tag team matches. Personally, I kind of think that Vince McMahon is backing creative a little bit, because I'm like, all of a sudden they're not doing the segment they're going to do for Monday with the celebration of Roman, and then maybe Vince didn't like the whole tag team tournament, so he's like, let's just get it over with in a couple weeks, pal. So for me, I had the same thought as you guys. I feel like the tag teams of the Brawling Brutes, Imperium, the Viking Raiders, and the Banger Bros, I feel like they all should have been in the semifinals. So I feel like the other four teams should have been facing them. Especially when you have two heel teams going at it that aren't over with each other. It felt dead. And again, to me, I wouldn't mind seeing like what Will was talking about. Again, paying up the feud between Los Lotharios and Maximum Male Models. But again, you had 13,000 people there, and they kind of shit the bed. And to me, I just feel like, again, make sure the live crowd, is gonna get a good show. Because to me, if I was there, I wouldn't go back. I'd be like, this is what I get. I get these matches. I get two matches featuring heel tag teams. I didn't like that. And again, I feel like, and again, I know New Day's hurt, but they should have just, again, had more faces in there. Or maybe put just put those four teams that we talked about already together. I mean, have them face the other teams in the first round matches. So at least there's one match that everybody cares about in every match. And again, I didn't like that there was no women's match. Again, they could have. Again, I don't want to hear that they're pressured for time when they showed the Cody package that we already saw on Raw, and they show an extended video package for Raw 30. They could have cut those things off to let the women shine a little bit and give them a match. So again, I just kind of again that's one of those things where again, we'll be talking about AEW, but I'm grateful for them, and that's why I'm going to go see them twice in March, because they're going to make sure that the people going there to see them live are going to get a good show. And I just wish WWE would quit being so overproduced and remember to just take care of those fans that are there too. And then again, I just feel like they take their fans for granted, and I wish they would stop doing that. That's all I got for WWE.
All right. Well, before I get going any further, I want to give a shout out to our YouTube ambassador, guy in charge, Bryan Ballard. I reach him on Twitter at the Brian Adkins. We actually got a message from him in the space chat saying that he's here to listen live, but doesn't quite have his microphone set up quite right. So, Brian, thank you for coming in and listening to us, brother. We appreciate you, and looking forward to doing some great things with you here in 2023. Did you have any other thoughts, Will?
Not really I wouldn't say it's my own thought, just kind of the collective, because you and I were both nodding at each other when Carlos was talking about the influence there for creative. I think Carlos nailed that right on the head.
Well, yeah, a lot of
just the quality of the programming that we've seen over the past couple of weeks has been absolute crap.
Well, I'm kind of with Carlos. I think Vince has got his hands in the pot again.
Yeah, it just seems like it.
Yeah, the only difference is he hasn't fired anyone yet.
Yeah.
But and they're being quiet about it, because we never saw since Triple H has been in charge. We haven't seen them change course like this, where they dropped the segment or they all of a sudden just did all the tag matches on the card that after not announcing them. He's not done this since he's been in charge. So I totally feel like Vince is dipping his hands in the cookie jar again.
Yeah. I think we all had that feeling on last week's program when we were discussing the return of Vince McMahon. I think it was inevitable that them saying that he wasn't going to be involved with it, I think everybody was safe to say they were going to call that bullshit out right away.
Yeah.
But it's kind of unfortunate because one thing that did come up this week is WWE and Devon Dudley have parted ways.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we reported that story a few weeks back just before the new year, but Devon's job was already threatened because he accepted a booking to be in the corner of Bully Ray at one of the indie events. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, Devon.
It was an ECW tribute show, like in Philadelphia. It wasn't called ECW, but it was pretty much like an ECW tribute show in Philadelphia.
Okay, I remember it was some kind of show that was non-WWE related, but I guess Hunter set him to the side and warned him that, there's a possibility he may not have a job, and I think it came down to that. I don't know for sure if that's what really happened. For all we know, Devon may have just said, "You know what, piss on this. I'm gonna go support my guy, and if this company's got a problem with it, tough shit."
And he can literally go wherever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the only WWE news I have this week.
I just wish.
Other than I do want to shout out those who were given a tribute to Jay Briscoe, though.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely not Vince McMahon-esque as far as programming.
No, and really, instead of them trying to save face, I'd rather they were honest with the fans about it,
Well, acknowledging somebody that has really never wrestled for their promotion, not that I recall. I could be wrong on that, so for you internet trolls, bite me. But
I don't think they ever have.
If they have, it was a tryout.
I know that they were offered a contract a few years ago, but they turned it down.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably one of the reasons why they may mention that. It just doesn't seem.
Did you guys get the vibe that was a tribute to them with all the tag team matches? I didn't. But again, I respect Sarah's opinion. But I just thought it was Vince McMahon trying to hurry up creative because he didn't like the tournament.
No, but I don't know if you noticed, Kevin Owens
had the armband.
So did the Viking Raiders. Yeah. The Viking Raiders had Dem Boys on armband.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see everybody in AEW wearing the armband as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Other than that, Carlos, did you have anything WWE news wise?
Just the cancellation of the whole, again, just like I already talked about, the cancellation of that segment tomorrow for Raw 30. And again, to me, it makes me sad because I forget whose podcast I was listening to at the gym, but Sika, I think Sika Jr., the one who was with Randy back in the day, or one of the kids, the kids was all excited about he was promoting getting to go on the program and be on Raw 30. And they were just excited for the whole Bloodline segment and being there with their dad and stuff like that. And so again, I just think it's really sad that they just changed course, and for me, again, the whole thing is just like, I just really think Vince is back in charge, and I think Vince is already dipping his hand back in things, and it's sad because it's the same event that they're looking forward to, and I feel like maybe he wants to hurry along this whole Bloodline feud, maybe. And the one thing I want to shout out is just, I know Carl Fredericks made his debut at an NXT house show. And if anyone's not familiar with him, he's a really good Hispanic wrestler. He got a start here in California wrestling, independent wrestling. So I'm excited to see what he has. Pretty much, I think that's been it. Same old rumors. And then Nick Khan was on he was on a podcast this week, just trying to save face and again make sane comments like, "Oh, we all expected Vince to come back," and it's like, well, why didn't you guys let the talent know that? Again, they're just trying to cover the tracks. It's just kind of old news by now. But I don't really think there's a lot of WWE news this week.
All right, Heather, did you have anything? Oh, sorry, Carlos, go ahead.
No, and I was going to just say quick on the Devon thing. I think it's hypocritical. Like, I don't blame him for. I think he asked for his release because again, if you're gonna let Shinsuke go wrestle in Japan, and then you're gonna you're still letting Road Dogg do his podcast with Conrad. It's like, what's the difference? It's just favoritism, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So good for him.
Yeah, Heather, did you have anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
You heard what I had to say.
You sure you don't want to repeat it?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Because I think Carlos was hard of hearing or something. Maybe you
I'll have to see, so this will give me a reason to go back and listen to the podcast again. I always do, but I hate hearing my own voice, so I usually fast forward.
Yeah, same here, same here. All right, we're going to stop the recording. And welcome back, everyone. We're going to go right to the Dynamite results. For the AEW All-Atlantic Championship, Orange Cassidy retains against Jay Lethal. Top Flight in what was, I guess you can say, an upset victory over the Young Bucks. Ricky Starks over Purple People Eater Jake Hager. Bryan Danielson defeats Bandito. Tony Storm in a cheap win over Willow Nightingale. And for the TNT Championship, Darby Allin retains against Kushida. For Rampage, Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeats Ethan Page. The Machine Brian Cage, Carlos's favorite, defeats Willie Mack. Jade Cargill and Layla Gray defeating the Vanity Sisters. And in the main event, Action Andretti defeats Daniel Garcia. I'm not quite sure how I felt about this week. I mean, to me, it still seemed a little bit slightly better than WWE. But, William, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm kind of with you. This one was kind of off-key. There were some great matches in this. I mean, I'm kind of tired of seeing Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal. That's just gotten old for me. Top Flight versus the Bucks. This was an excellent upset victory. Ricky Starks defeating Hager. That was a better match than I thought it was going to be. Bryan Danielson versus Bandito. I think this was really a great match with a couple of really fun ring technicians.
I thought that was match of the night, to be real honest.
It was cool. I loved seeing it, and I loved seeing them kind of afterwards, just right there with each other. The Tony Storm versus Will Nightingale, this was a weird match for me. And it turning heel for her right now just kind of didn't pop.
Well, sorry, I don't mean to stop your flow.
No, it's fine.
The thing that drove me nuts is they made it seem like it was going to be Sheeta turning heel.
Yeah.
But then they reversed it. They had Saraya and Storm go heel.
Yeah, in which for me, that just did not hit right.
Well, they didn't really build up or make any kind of sense out of it. They just turned heel out of the blue.
Yeah.
And they still have them finish business with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
Like, This
was out of the left field.
As Carlos would say, this is a storyline in the dumpster fire right here.
Yeah. The Kushida versus Darby match for the TNT Championship. This was an awesome match. Rampage, Jack Perry versus Ethan. It was an interesting win. I like that they're finally starting to push something more so with Matt Hardy. They're finally starting to move forward with him instead of just waiting around. Willie Mack versus Brian Cage. Again, I've never seen Willie Mack before, and he blew me away. It's just... And Cage killed it, too. Brian Cage killed it. The Cargill and Layla Gray versus the Vanity Sisters. This was just a crap squash match.
I will say this. Layla Gray did look...
She's doing better.
She looked much improved compared to other times.
Yeah. But this just made no sense to me. This was a waste of the women's time. Action Andretti versus Daniel Garcia. This was excellent. And big heavy kudos goes out to Garcia for taking the same hit that, Jericho was taking. This is just helping further push Action Andretti.
Yeah. Dynamite was solid. I think with Jay Briscoe's death, where it hit quite a few of the indie stars, I think that kind of caused quite a bit of the, I guess you can say, inconsistencies with how Dynamite and Rampage have gone this week.
Yeah. I don't know if you read it, but there was reason for them not throwing more of a celebration.
No, and I know that kind of hits a spot with people on both sides of that.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that Warner is playing the politic game with it.
No.
And to really touch base, I do think people say things that they don't really think.
Didn't think it through before they said it.
And that's
essentially what he did, and he apologized several times for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he realized how insensitive and how inhumane what he was saying at that time, and people can change.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a long time ago that he said it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that Warner is that company that's going to hold that grudge, especially when this guy became...
Megastar.
Yeah, he became a legend in the independents.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a Hall of Famer, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and he certainly deserved more recognition.
Yeah, I just think it was crap the way Warner went about that situation. Rampage, the only thing that bothers me, like you already touched, is they had that obligatory...
Obligatory.
Thank you. I cannot talk today.
It's okay.
They had that obligatory match for the women, which I don't think is right. Jade Cargill is a bigger star than that.
Yeah.
There was just no need to...
For me, it was disappointing.
Yeah. Squash match. She's beyond squash matches right now. If it was just a match for Layla Gray to wrestle as a singles...
That would have been excellent.
That would have been different. But as a tag team match, no, that was just terrible booking at best. And because we went women first, why don't we go ahead and go with Carlos if he wants to dare cue up his mic. We'll see if he gets as antsy or chaotic as Heather, but...
So I just want to say really quick, as a gay male and a member of the LGBT community, part of the reason why, I feel like I live my truth and I'm out and stuff like that is because you build understanding and you gap bridges between people. I've had plenty of friends who would have made comments like Jay Briscoe did back in the day. And then once they get to know me, or once it becomes more personal to know somebody who actually is a member of the LGBT community and things like that, you get more understanding. So I just want the world, I as a person, I forgive Jay Briscoe, and I looked at those comments a long time ago because I did see what he did to make amends. And again, it's just ignorance, but again, he learned and he made his amends and he did, and he did his pardons, and it's just really sad. And I feel like it comes down to more I feel like they're being profiled as hillbillies, and I feel like Warner Brothers Discovery is kind of holding. And he made those comments. I feel like they're just profiling them in a way that they shouldn't be, and not taking into account all he does for his community and stuff like that. The whole town shut down, when he died because of all that he did for his community and coaching and just how much they gave back to the community. So again, he was a stand-up person, and I really feel like it's really a sad, it's a loss for Warner Brothers Discovery that they didn't let that tribute show take place with him. And I know Tony Khan has fought for him numerous times to even be on AEW television. So again, I hope Warner Brothers Discovery in the future rethinks things like that and doesn't try to just think that they have this person in a box and have them figure it out, because people do change, and don't judge people by their looks, and give them a chance to kind of show who they are. To get into the card, I thought that was a fun opening match between Jay Lethal and Orange Cassidy. You can say what you want about Jared and Lethal, but I think I said this last week too, but they're one of the few people that actually get heel heat on AEW, and they're heels that the fans don't cheer for. So I say keep them coming on. I don't know if you guys watch AEW Dark, but even before this match on Wednesday, Top Flight actually beat Cesaro, and they beat They beat Claudio and Wheeler Yuta in a tag team match on Dark Elevation too. Again, it was them against those guys and Butcher and the Blade. They still scored the pin and got a win over them too. So I just think that's good stuff. And I know the Young Bucks, I think they discovered Top Flight on Instagram, and I just think that they took them under the wing. So it was just really cool to see them kind of give them the win, and people want to talk smack about the Young Bucks, but they put them over. I think that's a really good thing. I wouldn't mind seeing Top Flight versus the Acclaim, the AEW Revolution. Speaking of it, you guys all know I love the Acclaim, but I cannot stand this feud with the Gun Club at all. Again, when you have two, and I like the Gun Club too, but they need to be separated. You can't have these guys feuding with each other because they're two comedy acts going after each other, and it's just like, oh my god, I just want to change the channel, and it's like they take away from each other. Like they both need to be feuding with tag teams that are more serious, and I guess this feud just needs to end tomorrow. I cannot stand it. Again, I would like to see Hangman reunite with the Elite. I thought that was a really good interview with him and with Renee. Because eventually, if we got the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club, I'm all for that. Please put the other members of the JS in the feud so that Ricky can have some people to help him out with this feud with the Jericho and the JS. Bandito and Bryan Danielson tore the house down. And again, Fresno has a 49% like Mexican community, and they showed up for Bandito, and I think that was really awesome that they did. And again, I just want to see Bandito get some wins now and be used more in the upper mid card because the guy deserves to be going a win streak. I'm just tired of seeing him always taking the L's. The one thing I did at the women's match, I do like seeing Tony Khan pivot. I mean, that's one thing that I'm going to give him credit for because I think that he just saw that Saraya isn't getting over with the AEW crowd, and that the AEW crowd wants to see the originals go over these women who come in. So I think it was a good thing to turn her heel. And again, for me, if they're going to bring Mercedes in, bring her in as a heel. And the one thing that they've been talking about in all the other podcasts this week is that they think that this is going to lead to a women's blood and gut match this year, which I'm all for. Like, put the women in there and let them go to town. I would be all for that. The one thing, I love Kushida and Darby. I thought that match delivered. And this just goes to show, again, it goes back to Vince, why he doesn't need to be creative. Because the fact that Kushida was never brought up to the main roster and utilized on Raw and SmackDown is a damn crime. So it just goes to show another reason of why Vince should keep his hands out of the cookie jar. And the one thing I want to say too is I love the psychology. Like I like the way that Darius pinned. I love the way that Darius pinned the Young Bucks this week. Like kind of how he hunched them over. That's the kind of stuff that I love to see in wrestling. Is kind of that more psychology of if I hook a guy this way, the guy's not going to kick out. And going into that. The way Ethan Page at the beginning of the match, he tried to hit the Ego's Edge right away on Darby. Again, that's the kind of reason psychology that I love to see in a match. And I just thought that was a fun match. And again, I just love seeing Ethan Page get utilized more. They've been doing this storyline a lot between him and Matt on Dark and Dark Elevation. And it's just good to see him getting the proper shine that he deserves on the main shows. I really enjoyed all his Page's heel tactics during the match, especially, like I said, grabbing Matt. I loved him grabbing Matt Hardy's ponytail at the end of the match, trying to get leverage for the pin. I thought that was really great. And again, he's back to being one of the top workers. And the match between Brian Cage and Willie Mack, again, Brian Cage is from my area code, and I love that dude. And it's just, since he's been back, I just love his offense in the match. And he's back to being one of the top workers in AEW, in my opinion. I don't like the friction between Ortiz and Eddie. I'm not a fan of the storyline at all. I wish House of Black was going after the Elite instead. I just don't like this at all. With Jade, again, this is an L for Tony. I feel like, her 49th win should have been against somebody more prominent, and not against developmental talent. And I just wish that they were spreading out her wins, her things more. So her 50th match was coming on AEW Revolution, because I think having her sit out a month and a half is going to be too long of a time. So I feel like her 50th match is going to get wasted on television, and it should have been saved for a pay-per-view. Fun match between Action Andretti and Daniel Garcia. Even though Andretti had a few botches, I gotta say, like, he has it, and it just shows that, again, Jericho gets a lot of slack, but he has an eye for talent. And for me, like, the thing that Action Andretti hits me, and with all due respect to Brian Pillman Jr., is I feel like, and to me, Action Andretti is like a modern day Brian Pillman. He's a good looking guy that has a lot of aerial moves, and you just want to see him. He just gives me those Brian Pillman vibes, and I loved it. And again, I just thought it was an exciting match and a good way to finish the card. And I love that they're bringing more of the action to Rampage and giving us a reason to watch the show on Friday nights at 10 o'clock. So it was a good card overall.
All right. Heather, do you have anything to add to Carlos?
No, just like, I thought Dynamite was really good this week compared to like what WWE had been on. The Top Flight and Young Bucks match, I really enjoyed that. I'm like what Top Flight is doing, and they worked really well with the Young Bucks. And I loved the Bryan Danielson and Kushida match. I thought that was a really good one. That's who fought. No, I'm sorry, Bryan Danielson and Bandito match. I'm sorry. I really liked that one. I'm sorry, my mind's not there. And the Darby Allin and Kushida match. I thought that was a really good match. And on Rampage, the Daniel Garcia and Action Andreino match was pretty good. And considering Jade Cargill, it's just really gotten boring with me. It's kind of stale because like she is a good wrestler. She's great at what she does, but it's just getting stale for me because I don't think they're utilizing her right, like y'all said. She needs to have more longer matches, better opponents, and just do better with her because like I said, it's getting kind of stale for me. It's just going on long, and I'm not saying she doesn't deserve the reign, but it's kind of like I said, it's just going on long and it's getting stale. She needs better opponents and longer matches, and that's all I got to say.
I'm beating the horse again, but Jade Cargill should not be messing with jobbers now. She is much improved since she debuted over a year ago. I mean, it's time to have her go on her own. She does not need baddies. She doesn't need a mouthpiece. She cuts a promo good. Her in-ring has gotten way better. I feel like they're wasting her time sticking her with Layla Gray right now.
They are. They're wasting.
Unless the only thing I can see is, I mean, I know they're going to work it up to Red Velvet and Jade at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't know, unless the goal is to have Layla Gray be the one to defeat Jade down the road, but that wouldn't make sense for how green Layla...
She's not even signed to the company. She's not even signed to the company.
Yeah, I mean, Layla Gray is just... She's still pretty green to me.
Yep.
I just don't think having her under Jade is the right move right now. I think they need to have her under somebody else's wing.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, it was irritating for me because it wasn't just a waste of Jade's time. It was a waste of all the women's time.
Yeah. Well, and the feeling that he needs to have a women's match, that's just how it felt.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, there's that one women's match and we're done.
Yep.
And again, to waste a win, and when she's going to that feat to win, to waste it on the developmental, it was stupid. It was dumb.
Yeah, it is. We also have our YouTube guy Brian in here, and I'm gonna give a chance to have him turn his mic on if he wants to throw in some opinions there. But yeah, the programming fell off, but I can understand because of the Jay Briscoe death. It just probably took a toll on everyone, and who knows. But looks like Brian's taking the mic. Brian, did you have any thoughts on AEW this week?
Yeah, I think as you guys kind of mentioned, there's that tone, right? Because there was a death that was unexpected that hit most of the locker room. And so I think Tony Khan and crew were probably dealing with a lot of the mental health aspects at work. So, I think you guys definitely hit that point on the head. Overall, I think, they relied on people like Daniel Bryan and the people that, they could depend on to put them through that show. So I think that was huge.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing what one event can take a toll on, and it just didn't feel like your normal momentum that AEW has had these last couple of weeks, in my opinion. I know there's some diehard WWE fans out there that would say different, but no, I mean, I still felt AEW had the better week compared to the two, and I think that was just by default for sure. Carlos, did you have anything else to add?
No, I think I'm good. I'm really excited for next week's card. Again, me as a fan, like all my favorite wrestlers are going to be wrestling next week. So I'm pretty excited about that. And like I think Brian made a good point. It's like we don't, it's about mental health and again, I think God does work in mysterious ways. I think it was really cool that with this happening, that you had two brother tag teams wrestling on Wednesday, and it was already pre-planned. I think that was a really good tribute to them. And like I said, I'm grateful for AEW. And again, I'm just grateful that they do what they can, and that they do think about their talent, they do think about their fans, and that they did their best to entertain us this week. And I'm really grateful. I couldn't imagine my wrestling fandom right now without AEW in it, and I'm really grateful to have them around.
Heather, did you have any final thoughts?
No, like I really did want to say, like y'all touched on it, with WWE about them acknowledging, that about Jay Briscoe's passing, because it was on NXT when they said something about it, and then they did say that Jay Briscoe did not wrestle for WWE at all, and like with the wrestlers wearing the armbands and stuff, I just really thought that was really good of them to do that.
And that was actually Chad Frost's call too. He's the one he called that to do that.
Yeah, I just thought that was really good.
I like the fact that you're just going to continue with the Chad Frost.
Yeah, that's the gimmick on the show now, Chad Frost.
All right, well, we're going to take a small little break here, and when we come back, we're going to get right into our top 10s. And it's time for our top 10s, and this is an interesting week for all of us as we all pretty much felt consistent with the programming. Let's see how consistent we are with our rankings. We're going to go ladies first with Heather. If you want to start your list from 10 and work your way up to 1.
Okay, for number 10, I put Willow Nightingale. Number 9, Sheamus. Number 8, Drew McIntyre. Number 7, Street Profits. Number 6, Action Andretti. Number 5, Ricky Starks. Number 4, Darby Allin. Number 3, Bandito. Number 2, Bryan Danielson. And number 1, Top Flight.
Awesome. Carlos, let's go ahead and run through your list there.
So my number 10 was Solruka. My number 9 for how we put over Bronson Reed was Tozawa. Number 8 was the Banger Bros. Number 7 was Kushida. Number 6 was Ethan Page. Number 5 was Brian Cage. Number 4 was Ethan Page. I'm just kidding. Number 4 was Action Andretti. Number 3 was Bryan Danielson. Number 2 was Bandito. And I, too, number 1 had Top Flight.
Wow. All right. William's looking up in the sky, so this kind of makes me a little nervous, but let's grab yours, brother.
Okay. Mine's a little bit out of the box, but number 10, Brian Cage. So Brian has officially made it onto my radar.
Woo!
You just made Carlos a happy guy there.
Number 9, Sol Ruka. Number 8, Viking Raiders. Number 7, Action Andretti. Number 6, Bandito. Number 5, Kushida. Number 4, Roxy and Lyra Valkyria. And number 3, Ricky Starks. Number 2, Axiom. And of course, number 1, Top Flight.
Wow.
Yep.
This is going to be really interesting given mine now. All right, going for my number 10. At number 10, I have Orange Cassidy. Number 9, I went with Layla Gray. I felt like she's improved enough to finally get on there if she's wrestled during the week. My number 8, Willow Nightingale. Number 7, Action Andretti. Number 6, Darby Allin. Number 5, Solo Sikoa. Number 4, Seth freaking Rollins. Number 3, I went with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Number 2, this is going to disappoint you guys, I went with Top Flight. And my number 1 went to Roxanne Perez. So Yeah, mine differed a little bit from you guys, but you all were pretty consistent with Top Flight there, so that shows that that young tag team there is going to be rising as they progress in their professional wrestling careers. Uh, I didn't really have anything else for this week. Maybe we can have Brian cue up his microphone again, but yeah, this was overall a real interesting week of wrestling. Like I said, we're not going to beat that horse too much, but obviously, death in the wrestling community has affected quite a bit of mostly the AEW side, but WWE it just kind of felt like again we're having back to back to back weeks of just lazy booking going on, and I'm not sure if really it's truly Vince McMahon has his hands in it. But Brian, did you have like a top 10, or did you want to give any more thoughts on how this week has went as far as both WWE and AEW?
Yeah, sure. I don't have a top 10, but I do have some final thoughts. AEW, yeah, they were recovering and doing a lot of the locker room management, as I mentioned earlier. For WWE, and I was kind of saying this on Twitter the other day, I feel like WrestleMania season hasn't kicked in for me yet, and I'm waiting for it to kick me in the butt. But ultimately, I feel like Vince coming backstage has almost messed with that a little bit. And I know they have creative in place and I know they got things ready to go. So I'm just kind of waiting for them to kick and shift it into up gear a little bit. I'm hoping that happens this week. And then next thing you know, we'll be in WrestleMania season. So that's kind of my overall thoughts right now.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're dragging their feet. It really should have already been starting just shortly after the new year. I mean, obviously, January is the month leading up to the Royal Rumble, and then you're going to have that in-between event, which is usually the Elimination Chamber, if I remember right, but I'm not sure if they're running that this year. I haven't looked at their...
They are. It's gonna be in Canada.
Okay.
I think Montreal.
Okay. I haven't had time to look at that premium live event schedule yet, so that's my bad host on that one. Other than that, we have nothing else going on. Let's go ahead and get into our shout outs for the week. Carlos, do you have anyone to throw out there?
I think you guys will cover all the rest, but I mean, just again, J Henry 79J, Alan Thesis 23, Hawaiiano, big mistake on Twitter. JK Roll Tide, Jason, my boy Santos Lorenzo, Patty Magic 96, and that's all. And then Cricket to Love too. Give them a shout out to a new follower, and also Fitness Pandas. That's all I got.
All right, Heather, did you have any shout outs there?
Just NWO Machine, Wrestling Machine, the Ted Hillbilly Hill, always him, and Wrestling with the Truth podcast. That's all I got this week.
Awesome. And we're going to go to our YouTuber, Brian, on this one. Brian, did you want to give any shout-outs this week to anybody out there in Twitter world?
So I do. I just want to actually shout out each one of you guys for bringing me on the team. So thank you again. I'm excited for this year. And also, you guys are helping keep wrestling fun for me. So, doing this kind of collaboration really does a lot of that for me. So again, shout out to you guys and thank you for allowing me in here.
Yeah, no problem.
Feelings mutual, man. I love you. I love your positivity. I love what you have to say about wrestling and your fandom as well. So that goes back at you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love you, Brian. I love what you have done on your Tap Out Talk channel after each premium live event and pay-per-view. It's very enjoyable, especially when you do the opening your I guess you can say your slam crates or AEW crates. Those are very awesome. Another person that does a very good job on them is Christine. She goes by Shining Polaris on Twitter. She does some pretty good box reveals as well. Will, did you have any shout outs?
Funny enough, Brian kind of stole my thunder there. I was actually going to mention, Bryan Ballard, thank you for joining us, and to the rest of our team and our fans, thank you.
All right. I don't really have a whole lot for shout outs. One special one I want to give to is Obey Jess. She's always in here every Sunday giving us support and love on the Twitter space. So thank you, Jess, for showing up quite a bit of the time. We know you weren't feeling so great last week, and I think by now Heather's forgiven you. Just kidding. But Heather's ready to say something. She queued up.
No, because I always forgive Jess. Jess is the best.
Yes, she is. She's very awesome. But I do want to shout out also Marcy Pertain. She did a real awesome jukebox classic space last night, and it was a very fun one. And interesting enough, they on one of her tracks, it was actually Leonard Skinner's Freebird, and I gave him some brief history about that in the wrestling world, because for those who don't know, I believe Freebird was one of the first rock songs to be used as a group's theme song in wrestling. Now, before anybody goes off on a tangent and say that wasn't the first music, no, it wasn't the first music. It was the first rock music to use for a theme song. So let's make sure we get that little bit of history detailed very, very clearly. But other than that, yeah, thank you to Libsyn.com for hosting this podcast and providing it to every available platform. You can go visit our website at www.wrestlingfansinsight. Remember, Insight spelled INCITE.com, where you can find us on your favorite audio platform and find the links to that favorite audio platform you listen on. And also, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Ghana, YouTube, Good Pods, and more. If you like listening to our podcast and want to be notified of our latest releases, please subscribe on our page at the www.wrestlingfansinsight.com. And if you're also able to, on your favorite audio platform, if you can leave us a rating or review, it would be much appreciated. It helps our algorithm out big time. And if you do leave a review, we'll eventually read it on our future podcast recordings. Other than that, I have nothing else. This has been a little bit of a shorter episode than usual this week, so we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and listening to us. And we will be back again on Twitter Space live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. For William, Heather, and Carlos, and Brian, peace out, have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.